Hello and welcome to another video on my tutorial series here. We are talking about web API.NET basics, and as always, please go ahead. Oh, hold on. As always, please go ahead and follow me on GitHub, visit my website. And if you have any questions, email is of course available. Right then. So in this specific video, I'm running through the different tools you need to have ready, and you need to have some knowledge about using in order to build the demo project that I've already talked about. So in this one, I want to focus on the Postman. Now, Postman is a software that is used to check API endpoints. Now, why is this so important? Now, as I mentioned, our project, the projects we are going to build, the two projects I talked about, the first one is a comic book shop e-commerce project, which you can see here, and this other one, this is the one. And the other one is an Azure-based project. Now, both of these projects are using a microservice kind of architecture. Now, even if they weren't using the microservice architecture, they would still be have a number of API endpoints. All right. So, which means when you are developing your web API, you have to make sure you test the API. Now here there are a couple of things to remember. Now if you really want to, let me go and show you right now. So let me go ahead and just create a new web API just for to show you how it works. So I'm going to create a simple API. I'm going to make sure it goes to my demo folder, Postman API recording. Okay, and then I'm just building a very quick API project here. And then, I want to just go ahead and rebuild. And here it is. So you see here, there is an API endpoint. Now this is called a Swagger. You can see right here, Swagger is a built-in API testing tool / interface. So I have an endpoint here. There's a button called try it out. I can click on this and I can get the response. So for very basic testing of API, this is more than enough. So 90% of the time during our videos and during our building of the demo project and everything, I will be more than happy and satisfied with what Swagger can do. So technically speaking, you don't really need Postman on those scenarios. However, a lot of times that's not enough though. I don't want to use Swagger every time, especially as the project becomes more and more complex and I want more advanced features. I want a little bit more control about how I do the API testing. So in those circumstances is when I need Postman. So whatever I'm doing with Swagger, let me try to do that in Postman as well. So I'll go to Postman here and I'm just going to create a new collection. We'll talk about collections later. So this is again a scratch pad to delete things. So I'm just going to create a collection and I'm just going to give it a name, collection for recording. Okay, a lot of other let me just close all these extra open. Yeah, there you go. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and I will go ahead and just create a collections and collection for recording. There it is. So I want to add a request. I'm going to say weather, because that's what I'm testing right now. So if I go back to my API here, you'll see here there is something called the request URL. So that's what we need. So I'm going to copy this. I thought there will be a copy button, but it's not there. And I'll put it here. Okay. And then I'll hit save and I'll run this. And there you go. See, let me just put it side by side. So whatever I am getting here, date 24/9/20. Oh, my keyboard. Oh, sorry. So date is 24/9/24. You get the same thing here. You get the same thing here. You get the same thing here. So they're doing the same thing, but Postman is more of a dedicated tool for API testing and things like that. So yes, 90% of the work will get done, at least for our beginner series, via the Swagger UI. But I will be using Postman sometimes, and yes, you do need it though. And sometimes you're kind of trying out external APIs and you want to test it, which you can't do in Swagger anyway. At least I don't know how to do it. So for me, Postman becomes useful. Like for example, I'm integrating Stripe API in one of the projects. So when I want to test the Stripe API, I want to try out different endpoints and stuff like that. This is something you do a lot. Every .NET developer ultimately at the end of the day, he's building his own API, own API. and he is constantly integrating other third-party APIs as well. So there is no escaping it. So when you are exploring APIs, normally they'll give you a ready-to-use API UI. They do that, but when you start getting more experience and more things start getting complex, Postman saves you a lot of time. Okay, so I do like to keep things simple, but sometimes there are circumstances when things do get complex and you can't keep things simple anymore, and you need to start using dedicated tools. So this is one of those scenarios. So make sure you have your Postman tool installed from the Postman website. Make sure you have a Postman account as well. You can see here that on Postman I'm already signed in to my account. So if I click here, view profile, you can see that it loads the Postman website profile. Very, very useful. Make sure you have a Postman account as well, especially if you're working in a team. I mean, I work solo, but you might be working in a team, like a classroom project, or if you're applying for a job, you have other friends who are also looking for a job or applying for internship. Maybe you can form a team, and then you guys can use Postman on the web. So that's really, 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 really cool. They're really, really important and useful and stuff like that. So anyway, so there you go. That's about Postman. Let me see if there's anything else I need to mention. Postman web. Yeah, the Postman also runs directly on the browser as well. Another really, really cool feature. If I go here, I can go ahead and say collections, and there you go. I have all these connections. If I want to, I can go ahead and just use this online as well. So let me see if the collection that I just created right now, is it available? Let me see. No, trial. I don't see the one that I just created. I created a collection called collection for recording. I'm not seeing it. Maybe it's in a different workspace. Am I in the right workspace right now? Let me see. I'm in home team private. I don't think that's but either way, it doesn't matter. So what I'm trying to say is, if you want to, you can run your collection directly online. You get Postman on the web as well. So it's really your call. Oh, there it is. Let me go to Delete and Scratchpad. It's all on the web. See, this is the software here. I'm not using the software. I'm just using the web. They both look identical. Really so cool. And there you go. Collection for recording weather. And then I'm going to say send. And then let me see if it works. It shouldn't work. It won't work on the web because this is a local API. So for that, I think there's something called a different agent selected and local. It's even saying that when testing an API locally, you need to use the Postman desktop agent. So I think obviously the web version is only useful for web-based APIs, but for local development, you still need to install Postman locally. Although if they can run web, it'll be cool as well. But anyway, so there you go. These are the main reasons why you would need Postman. So Postman tool, Postman account, Postman on the web, all of them very essential for this tutorial series and the demo project that we are building. And that's all there is to it.